So chapter 5, it's called, I Received an Unmeasurable Gift for Humanity. And if you want to hear about other books on the Pranic pages with wisdom for the ages from today's modern sages, you can check out my YouTube channel, Jerome Shaw, and there's a playlist right before we say this, and that playlist has a whole bunch, and it's called the Pranic pages. With practice and dedication, I developed very precise breathing techniques that contain the steps to teach the body to nourish on prana. At the beginning, I didn't know how to share these breathing techniques. The idea of living on prana was all new at the time. But the idea of sharing a process with groups of people was not totally unfamiliar, since I used to share the process of the sweat lodge. During this time, my wife, which we know as Camilla, during this time my wife was seeing all this transformation that was happening in both of us. She told me she wanted to be the first person to receive and learn these breathing sessions and techniques. I was so ready. Yes, let's see what happens. So it was that with Camilla, I first shared these breath sessions. I asked her how she felt after each breathing session. She shared with me how she was in a blissful state as a result of the breathing sessions we did together. I could see that her eyes were so bright, her skin was glowing. As a result of these first sessions with Camilla, the techniques and teachings became a part of me. That is, I integrated the ability to share them with others. When I ran into people I knew, they would ask me what it was that I was doing and how it felt to be living on light. They started inviting me to give sessions, sometimes individually, sometimes in groups. This led me to becoming a teacher and guide of the science and technology of prana. That is how I came to travel the world, sharing the tools of living on light to those who are ready to receive it. Now, let's stop here just for a moment. He says sharing with those who are ready to receive it, right? Sharing with those who are ready to perceive it. Sharing with those who are ready to retrieve it. Not just sharing with those who do not believe it, right? One of my mentors, Rakhi Shari, she goes by the Breatharian Yogini. She said, Jerome, I'm not worried about, people finding me. I'm not worried about, the perfect thumbnail, the perfect caption, the perfect title, the perfect whatever. I'm just speaking about my life, that's it. I'm just talking about my experience, that's it. Whoever is looking for me, they're going to find me. I said, wow. Because somebody could look at what she's doing and say, hey, you could do it better, you could do it. She's not, that's not the point. Whoever is looking, they're going to find me. All I have to do is speak my truth. The universe will do the rest, right? I said, wow, I gotta respect that. Eli Tom does the same thing. He goes around, he teaches, and then he's off to the next place. I remember years ago he said, whether you do with it or not, it's up to you. But I know what age we're in. Then I'm off to the next place. Next. So he's not preaching, but he's still reaching at the same time. And I thought, how can I do that? How can I just embody my truth? How can I shine my light? And someone feels that they have permission to do the same. Because years ago, that's all I needed was for someone to be doing something so authentically for them that made me want to be in my own authenticity. That made me want to build my own electricity and embrace my own synchronicity. Chapter 6, why I do this work accepting my life mission. I have been living the last 11 years by consciously nourishing my body with prana as what some call a breatharian. I also facilitate the process of how to transition to being a breatharian, that is, a person aware of the energy available in all elements of nature, who can intentionally increase its energy and nourish its body and spirit from light or prana. So I do like in that definition that he says a person aware of the energy available in all elements of nature. So even though you know the sun is shining, are you aware that you can be nourished? Even you're aware that nature is there, but do you feel like that's self-care? You're aware the air is here, but do all your worries disappear just knowing that air is here? Or do we cling to the food and the water because we don't know that we can derive nourishment from other sources? And when you say to yourself and your body realizes, I can get it from another source, I can actually use the force, you're like, duh, of course. And that epiphany, that sudden realization, is what some call the Breatharian vibration. In this book, I want to share this process with you. I call this process the 8-day Pranic process, and its goal is to give you the tools and experiential knowledge needed to nourish the body and soul by tapping into the cosmic energy that we are always already immersed in every day of our lives. Now I love this because when we're doing Qigong, right? We're doing Qigong. We're doing our Qigong practice, right? We're holding our hands up like cactus in our Qigong practice. And what do we say, right? What do we say every day? What do we say? Just invite this cosmic light that rains on you both day and night. It's already raining down on you. You can't escape it, right? You don't even have to create it. You don't even have to make it. It's already here. So I love that. He says, tapping into the cosmic energy that we are always, right? Even through the roof, there's no blocking it, right? If you're alive, it's hitting you. If you're breathing, it's getting you, right? Always already immersed in every day of our lives. So you're already immersed. You don't have to rehearse, right? The body already knows and can feel divine flow. And the energy follows you wherever you go. Wherever you go, right? It's all here. I offer these sessions to share with others the benefits I have gained by using prana as a source of nourishment, healing, and opening to new possibilities. What new possibilities could open for you if you had this awareness? In all fairness, right? What I am sharing is the possibility of having an extra source of energy that can sustain and feed you indefinitely. Now, I feel like it's already feeding us, but maybe in small amounts if we're already feeding ourselves in large amounts. Right? That's why he's saying an extra source of energy that can sustain and feed you indefinitely. An extra source. Because we're already getting extra sources from everything else, right? When I was getting an extra source of pseudo energy or false energy from the Red Bulls, the Monsters, the Adderall, the energy drinks, and all of those things, right? And I was boosting myself on that pseudo energy, feeling high on life, feeling like I could solve calculus and geometry and, do all kinds of arithmetic and mathematical equations like Albert Einstein, right? And I was jacked up on caffeine. You know what I mean, right? That wasn't energy. What was that? What I'm coming to realize is it was hijacking my adenosine receptors that tells the body it's tired. What caffeine actually does, it hijacks the areas of the brain that tell you you need to go to sleep. It just latches onto those receptors and said, hey, what is sleep? You don't need sleep. What is sleep? Cut that out. Wake up, right? That's what it was doing every time. But I felt like I was energized. And then I would tank. Because I had swiped the credit card and I was in debt with the bank, right? That's why my energy would always tank. I kept swiping my credit card. I was in debt with the bank. Now, when we have addition through subtraction, we let go. We let go. We let go. We peel back. Less, 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 less. And less is more. We explore the idea that less is more. By letting go, we invite more flow, and we realize we always had more than we know. Where did this energy come from? Where did this energy go, right? So that was just a personal experience of mine. Maybe you can relate. Now we can add one more source of energy into our lives, right? What's one more source? What's one more? You already have food. Why not this? Why not cut out everything else for your own nourishing health? By adding this source, naturally, you will feel more balanced. Sometimes we get sick, we get emotionally unbalanced, or we get mentally unbalanced. All because we don't take advantage of the spiritual nourishment available to every living thing on the planet. Now, wow. Did you hear that? Available to every living being. One of the strong bodybuilders, this guy is super diesel. I think he was on a movie I saw called The Game Changers. This guy, he can lift up like 5 people at the same time and carry them, right? Carry them on his back. And they were asking this guy, because he's plant-based, he's like, he doesn't eat animal flesh. And they were asking him, how did you become strong as an ox? You're so strong, like, how did you become strong as an ox? And he told them, he said, you ever seen what oxen eat? You ever seen what oxen eat? They're not eating other oxes, right? What are they eating? And the plants that they eat, right? The grass that they eat or that they feed on, what is it eating? What is it eating? Wait a minute. Instead of eating that animal, instead of eating these plants, you start to ask questions, right? We are just so focused on the human experience that we sometimes forget the field of prana that surrounds us. Elitam would always say during retreats, we're like fish that don't know we're in water, right? Like Dory and Nemo, just bloop, 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 swimming around, and we don't know that there's water all around us. The bubbles can be coming out our mouth, and we're just like, what is water? What is water? We don't know. But we've been swimming around in water all our lives. Even in the air, you feel the moisture. When you get real sensitive, you feel there's water in the air. The air feels like an ocean. Especially during long dry days or freedom days or prana days, as we say, you get to a state where you can feel the water, the moisture in the air. You can run your hand through the air and you're like, oh my God, there's water in the air. You can feel it. It blew me away the first time. We all know what it's like to feel lonely or to feel that something is missing from our lives. I am certain that the missing piece is this intentional connection with spiritual energy. And as we reconnect with this spiritual energy, it satisfies us at a deeper level. Now, let me just say right here, this reminds me of what he was talking about, us being divorced. Almost like we're establishing a connection with the subtle forces, the energetic forces that we somehow were divorced from. Like, how did we become disconnected with what we are always connected with? The subtle energies. So he said, food is your lover right now. That's your lover, right? we're in love with the solid food. And then he said, you got to find a new lover, right? He said, that's what meditation does. You find a new lover. You become reacquainted and you find that marriage with the subtle forces that you've been divorced from. It's like finding a new lover, long lost lover, rekindling the relationship. Oh, there you are. Where have you been all my life? Right? That's like meditation. As we reconnect with this spiritual energy, it satisfies us at a deeper level. When we do so, it always brings balance back to our human existence, right? Like Obi-Wan telling Anakin Skywalker, it was said you would bring balance to the Force, not end it, right? You are the chosen one. I have the high ground, Anakin. Master. So, bringing balance back to our human existence, like bringing balance to the Force, right? Because we know at a deep level that we are this energy. We are this energy. Thank you, Akahi. I thank you for saying it like that. I like that. That was one thing that if I learned nothing else from going 2 weeks without food and water, I learned, hey, I am this energy that powers this vehicle. Like Nabiha always says, I am the driver, right? I'm not the vehicle. I'm not the car. I'm the driver. I am the energy that is powering this vehicle. I am the consciousness, like the energy that is inside of this. But this is not me. This is clearly is not me. Otherwise, this shell should have fallen away, right? I should have died way before today. They told me I was supposed to be dead. It was blowing my mind. It was blowing my head. I was like, what is going on? Why am I still here? All of this energy has always been near. So realizing that you are energy, that was a huge realization. My mission and vision for sharing this work is for every human being to reconnect with this fundamental source of energy in a more intentional and conscious way. Those who do so can bring harmony, balance, and order into their lives and the lives of those around them. My vision is big. I want to actively help society reduce the amount of resources that we take from the earth. We are taking so much from the earth because we mistakenly feel that there is a lack of energy, a finite amount of resources. Most of this activity is driven by the need to survive as humans on this planet. So when we don't feel like we thrive, what do we do just to survive, right? We search for and take energy from so many places because it is true, humanity does need energy. But if we access the human free energy, an energy that is infinite, there will not be a need to take too much from the earth, to use so much land, water, and labor just to provide food for the world. Now, I just want to briefly say something. And I didn't even know I was going to say this right now, but there was a moment, and I believe it was either during or after my retreat back in 2020, when I had had no calories in my body for 2 weeks. I felt a dip in my energy. Now, when I was in the Breatharian retreat, or the Pranic retreat with Elitam, it was like 8 or 9 of us there for 8 days. We were all huddled together in sleeping bags in one little room. And it was like our own safe haven. We had our own sanctuary. In fact, the place we were at was called the Sound Palace Temple with Athena, Starseed, and Elitam. And somehow, right around the pandemic, right around that time, we had cultivated this area, this cocoon of energy where we were doing something completely different from everyone else, right? And this was right before people started taking toilet paper and all of these things off the shelves from the pandemic. Like everything was, hell broke loose, right? But here we are, a bunch of crazy men and women just together, just believing right? Every day we would work with the energy, do Qigong. Every day we would exercise, we would take walks, then we would have Breatharian talks, and then we would have a meditation in the evening. And after it was done, after everyone went their separate ways, I remember I was walking in downtown Los Angeles, and I felt a dip in my energy. I felt a slip in my energy. It was like, ooh, wait, whoa. I don't like that. And usually, you know, back then I would go and get some food. I would go and grab something, right? But my body had become trained to be sustained by this energy. So I was like, wait a minute. What do I do? I feel a little weak right now. What do I do? What do I seek right now? I feel a little weak right now. And I saw, as I was walking, there was a little patch, a little square area, and the sun was shining down right there on this square, this patch of sidewalk area. And I was like, my eyes lit up, and I just ran over to this square patch of sunlight, and I just looked up and I just held my hands. And I just stood there. And after 15 minutes, I was ready to go. My body was charged. And I was there to see it. I was there to witness in downtown Los Angeles. Homeless people on one side of the street begging for food. Luxurious restaurants and hotels gorging on food. I'm here in the middle. I'm getting my food from the sun. Around everyone. And I was there to witness. My energy was like, right? And then once I spent 15 minutes in the sun doing Qigong, it was like, it went up. I was like, what is this? And my body was like, yeah, I guess this is how we get it now, Jerome. I guess this is what you want, right? This is what you wanted. We're not getting it from over there. We're not getting it from over here. So I guess we got to get it from somewhere. And the body adapted. Do you know we can adapt to anything? Did you know that? Anything. My body had learned how to feed from the sun. And it was almost like a taboo feeling. It was like a Bible verse. You know, when God gives you something, or when Jesus told them something, he said, tell no one. That's why I took so long to tell certain people like these things, because it was almost like, don't tell anyone. Just know for yourself. Don't speak on this. There was a book, The Autobiography of a Yogi, by Paramahansa Yogananda. There's a chapter called The Woman Yogi Who Never Eats. And Yogananda went to meet the woman who never eats. And at the end of the chapter, this woman, Giribala, he asked her, you know, he said, why don't you tell the humans, like, why don't you let them know that they don't have to eat? Like, wouldn't that end all this suffering? Wouldn't that end all this, you know, people just starving out here, whining, they're crying for food, they're just begging for food. Why wouldn't you tell them they don't need food? And she said, I'll never forget, she said, that's not for me to say. My guru said, don't say, don't speak. The farmers who cultivate food on their farmland, they wouldn't thank me, right? The people in transportation that take food from place to place, from point A to point B, they wouldn't praise me for telling everybody they don't need it, it's unnecessary. Let them find out on their own, right? That's for me to know and for them to find out. And when I read that chapter, I had to respect it, you know? The things that I might have neglected, I had to respect it. We search for and take energy from so many places. It is true, humanity does need energy, but we can access free human energy, human free energy, the energy that is infinite. There will not be a need to take too much from the earth to use so much land, water, and labor just to provide food for the world. If we found the tools for perfect balance to sustain ourselves more through prana and gradually less through food and water, the planet will be more sustainable and healthy. Overconsumption of foods and excessive waste production of GMO foods, among many other activities extremely damaging for the earth, will stop their outreach. Living off light, or prana, is a solution for the food, the health, and future survival issues facing the entire planet. The pranic nourishment movement is growing fast. In 20 years, a remarkable number of beings on the planet will be living off the pranic energy. And as that happens, there will be a ripple effect, what some call the butterfly effect, or a tipping point. As more people access the light body, others will be inspired because they will see the joy, the health, and the brightness in their neighbors. They will say, "Hey, how are you doing that?" And this is when we will see a tipping point, a new consciousness arising across the globe. Now, I once saw this documentary, and I think it was on Gaia. If you know Gaia.com, Gaia has amazing documentaries that really just talk about our human potential. And one of them was saying that, and he only said it briefly, it was the scientist that was talking about it real briefly. He said, all it takes is 10%. 10% of the population, right? Out of the billions that they say we have on this planet, billions of human beings, right? All it takes is 10% of the cohort to change, that the rest of the cohort has to accommodate for that change. 10%. So once they get to this magical number, right? 10% has changed and are operating differently. Now the 90% has to accommodate for that change. And when I looked up recently about people who identify as vegan, not just people who don't eat animals, but people who identify like, yeah, I'm vegan, they said it's like 1%. It's still at 1%. It's like, it's not even 3%. So with this awareness, what's the percentile that you think are living on prana? What do you think that percentile is? But we all have we all have the potential, but what is the percentile? So can you imagine? Elitan would always tell us, you're the first fruits. You're the first fruits, right? The first flowers to blossom and bloom. You're making more room, right? With everybody who else is in the doom and the gloom, you are the first flowers. You're making more room, the first fruits. For me to be a pranic breatharian means that all the energy I receive comes from the natural world and from within myself. Energy is in everything. It is everything. Right now, right here in this moment, we are actually immersed in abundant and limitless energy. As you read this book, I can tell you that we are co-creating our realities with prana. I have learned that this is an interaction, an interchange of energy. And when we are conscious of this energy, when we can see it, when we can feel it, we are automatically taking advantage of it. What else is available in the air we breathe? Air holds all the thoughts of each and every being. It is like an infinitely mega cloud that stores information. For example, the thoughts of Jesus, the thoughts of Buddha, the thoughts of Tesla. Those thoughts are still available because those thoughts are in the air. That is the energy field of the planet. I'm sure you've heard of, spontaneous, ideas just sprouting somewhere way in the east, and then all of a sudden somebody has the same idea in the west. Two different people, opposite poles of the planet, but they have the same idea. That consciousness is all around. It's in the air molecules. They travel, so they can unravel as they travel. Those thoughts are still available. Those thoughts are in the air. That is the energy field of the planet. And as we evolve to expand our senses to that information, we receive those thoughts and we find the best way to apply them in this very moment. That reminds me of Roger Bannister. You ever heard of Roger Bannister? In 1954, this is what they say. In 1954, there was a man named Roger Bannister. And before this time, in 1954, before this period, doctors, physicians, athletes, health gurus, like everybody thought that it was impossible for a human being to run a mile in less than 4 minutes. Before that point, they thought it was physically impossible. You cannot do it. No. No, you cannot. It cannot be done, right? To run a mile in under 4 minutes. They said, nah. Roger Bannister did it in 1954. Guess what happened? Within a month, someone else did it. 2 months, more people did it. 3 months, more people did it. 4 months. Now, a 4-minute mile, what's that? 4 minutes? Come on, man. Level up, get your game up, right? Now, what was once thought as an impossibility, now that's a goal for people. Now they shoot for that. Now they root for that, right? All it took was one person. People around the planet doing the same thing. So when consciousness emerges, right, it's hitting everybody. In our sessions, we transform that information into something very practical and easy to take home and apply indefinitely. This practice becomes permanent over time. It is like riding a bicycle. Once awakened, it never fades away. Beautiful. So we'll stop there after chapter 5 and 6. I trust that you received something from this, from one of today's modern sages. These have been the Pranic pages. Wisdom from the ages. Thank you so much for listening. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Keep the grateful, thankful spirit, and may the rest of your life and the breath of your life be the best of your life. My friend, this has been Jerome Shaw. So much love.